Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Danielle Sharman, and I'm a farm policy analyst with the Ontario Federation of Agriculture. I am coordinating the Cultivating Local project alongside my colleague Joanne Fuller, who is the projects and training coordinator here at OFA. A few housekeeping items. Please keep yourself on mute as this is a meeting style workshop. We will ensure there are lots of opportunities for questions. This workshop will be recorded and will be available on OFA's Cultivating Local webpage. We also ask that you kindly keep your video off to keep the bandwidth low for our attendees with limited connectivity. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our third workshop in the Ontario Federation of Agriculture's Cultivating Local series. OFA has been a long-standing supporter of our members who are eagerly diversifying into new products, new market channels, and finding innovative ways to get their agricultural products to Ontarians looking for fresh local food, flowers, textiles, and so much more. Over 30 commodity and agricultural organizations are members of OFA, and we are grateful to have their support on this project, alongside many community and economic development organizations that have helped to bring this project to life. There are so many opportunities in the Ontario marketplace, whether you are a new farmer, the next generation of a farm family, an established farmer, a creative food or beverage entrepreneur, or you work closely with agri-food clients to make their business dreams a reality. We are thrilled you are joining us to learn more. With so many avenues to get agriculture and food products to Ontarians, we hope this workshop series will enable you to consider which opportunity best fits your business and products and learn some tips and tricks from the many innovative farmers, food, and beverage businesses that have taken the leap to sell directly to consumers. Ontario's agriculture, food, and beverage sector is ripe for growth, already generating over $50 billion in GDP annually and employing over 870,000 Ontarians. We produce over 200 commodities here in the province, and we know that number will continue to grow as we discover new varieties, new markets, and new opportunities to cultivate local. OFA is thrilled to be running this workshop series alongside our partners, and we hope you learn a lot today. Please join us for the 4 more workshops still to come. Thank you. And next, I'd like to welcome Krista Chapman. Krista is a consultant at Wilton Consulting Group. Wilton Consulting Group provides research and insights for the agri-food sector and rural communities. Her and the team at Wilton Group are leading the planning and delivery of the Cultivating Local workshops.
Thanks, Danielle. Great to have everyone on the line today. To start things off, I'd like to use Slido here, and I just want to learn a little bit more about everybody on the line this morning. So if you could join using the QR code on the screen there, you can use your smartphone, or you can use the link that my colleague Jessica has posted in the chat below. That'll take you directly to slido.com and to our polling session. So you can click there, join on your browser, or just take a photo of that QR code there with your phone. So yeah, just want to learn a little bit more about where you're joining from today. It's great we can be here virtually and have folks from all across the province join. So I'll give everyone a moment just to fill that in there. I can see several of you are already going on there. We've got about 27 people going, so we'll give it a moment here and let everyone participate. Yeah, great to see folks so far. Hopefully we have a couple of folks from Northern Ontario as well, so we'll give it a moment. But yeah, lots of folks here from Southern Ontario, lots of Eastern and Central as well, some folks from Western Ontario. And yeah, great to see colleagues from Northern Ontario as well now joining. So we'll give everyone a moment there, just in case you need a couple minutes just to take the picture of that QR code and join virtually. So we're going to be using Slido throughout the presentations today. So you can keep that open, whether it's on your phone or just on your browser there throughout our session. Awesome, great to see folks from all across the province here today. If you haven't joined using the Slido yet, you can still join using the QR code there, or just follow the link that Jessica has posted in the chat on Zoom and join via browser. So first, I want to learn a little bit more about, where you're at in your journey with selling online for your farm business. Do you have an online store yet? Are you in the early days of doing so? Have you been selling online for a little while now? Are you just kind of dipping your toes in today and starting your research, but looking to get that started possibly soon? Or are you more experienced? Have you been doing this for a little while now, and are here to learn more or here to share some of your wisdom with other folks on the line too? So yeah, let us know. It looks like we have lots of folks who are not yet established with their online store and just kind of starting their research. So that's really great. Or maybe you're just here to learn more about it, which is good too. Um, Awesome. Yeah, lots of people who are not yet online. So we have really good speakers on the line today who can help us with some questions you might have. A good amount of folks who have been selling online for a while as well, which is great. So it's always good to have people with experience on the line too. And some people who are more so in the early days of selling online. So about 14% of you have shared that today. Excellent. Awesome. So it looks like about a little more than half of you are here to learn or aren't established yet, and then some folks with experience too. So this is really great. Thanks, everyone. And you can join Slido at any time during the presentations with the link in the chat or the QR code there. So similarly, I want to know where you're at on your journey with leveraging social media. Are you on social media, your farm business, be it, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X? Yeah, let us know. Have you been on social media for your farm business for a while, or have you just started out, or maybe you haven't quite gotten started on that yet and you're looking for some more direction today to get things kickstarted? Awesome. Looks like lots of folks have been using social media for a while, or are in the early days. So maybe we have lots of farm businesses on the line here who are already on social media and maybe are looking to get an online store started as well. So really great. Thank you. And some folks who don't yet use social media for your farm business, which is good. And we can share some more about that today. All right. I want to learn a little bit more about maybe some of the challenges or the hurdles that you've encountered while selling online or tapping into social media for your farm business. So, in just a couple words or less, you can enter maybe some of those hurdles or challenges that you've experienced on your journey so far, whether you've just started, you've been on this journey for a while, or possibly maybe a challenge that has prevented you from getting started. So we're going to use this input to really help steer today's conversations and hopefully address some of these challenges during our conversations today with folks on the line. So keeping a consistent posting schedule, yeah, that's a great point. Facebook ban on selling and advertising animal products, that sounds like it would be tricky. Wow, lots of really good suggestions here. Going too fast for me to keep up. Let me scroll here. Knowing what to post and when to post to best spread your message. Good point there. Lack of knowledge on how to use. Absolutely, it can be a learning curve, especially with constant updates on social media and with some of these online sales platforms. Not getting a lot of followers, posting schedules, getting customers to use the platform. They want to call me and have me enter their orders. Yeah, a lot of customers said they would use an online store, but only about 5% actually use it. So yeah, great point there. How do we get people to use our online platforms? Who to tag in your posts, increasing your following count, the cost of partnering with an online farm hub like Local Line, defining a price point, content creation into sales. Social media is a bonus tool. You can't rely on it. That's a great point. Oops, sorry, let me go back there. These are all really great points. So thanks everybody. We've got some good themes here coming through between followers and content, posting time, which platforms to use. Let me see if I've missed any here. making relevant content and figuring out what I can and can't post. Yeah, that's a great point. We have to be mindful of all of the different rules across social media platforms. Attracting new followers, yeah, gaining more followers. Yeah, these are all really great points. Um, Having other farms possibly take some of your content and repost it on their page. Yeah, that's a challenge for sure. Getting referral comments from existing customers to post on our sites. Some comments there about a local food distributor, maybe tapping into social media to help with that, and knowing what platform is best for your customer base. These are all really great points here. And I do see one in the chat here, lack of technical expertise on staff. Yeah, that's a great point, is having the staff to help with some of those things, whether it's social media or your online store. Having the right expertise on your team is certainly something that would help with that. Great. Thank you, everyone, for these suggestions. This is really great. We'll keep these in mind today as we head into some of our discussions with folks on the line. And we'll try to answer as many of these questions and challenges as we can today. And just a reminder, we will be using Slido throughout the day, so feel free to post questions in the Q&A section on Slido. You'll see on your phone or browser that there's a Q&A tab on the top left of your Slido screen. It's the same whether you're on your phone or on your browser. So to ask questions during our panel sessions, just click on that Q&A tab, enter your question. You can enter it anonymously, that's the default, or you can enter your name if you'd like for your name to show up next to your question. Feel free to monitor the Q&A area as well, even if you don't have questions for our speakers. You can like the questions that are there, and they will raise them to the top. The more likes they have, the higher they will go, and we will do our best to get to as many questions today as possible, and we'll try to prioritize based on likes. So thanks everyone for participating in that. Great. All right. So next, please join me in welcoming Nicole Marinick. Nicole is a well-connected agri-food marketing professional with over 20 years of experience in consumer and trade marketing. She specializes in food and agriculture for the past 18 years. She has successfully developed and managed campaigns for both new and established brands, industry associations, and not-for-profit organizations. Her expertise includes research, digital media management, influencer collaborations, advertising, and PR. She has an honor BA in political science and communications and a postgraduate diploma in marketing. Welcome, Nicole. Good morning.
Good morning. Excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us. And if you'd like to share your screen there, we can pull up your presentation as well. Great. Thanks, Nicole. And I'll hand things over to you.
Okay. I would suggest, I've got a lot of slides here. Social media is basically you could do a whole university course just on social media. And we have a half an hour segment today. So I'll do my best to give you a high level overview. But looking at some of the comments that were just made, I might skip over some of the slides very, very quickly so that I can try to leave more time for questions. If you have questions, can you please put them in the chat, and maybe the moderator can kind of bring that to my attention, just so that, because it's hard for me to do everything at one time. So if there's stuff that's coming up, by all means, I would say, I'll try to keep an eye out for it, but we'll definitely have a little bit of time for questions at the end. If you want to make a note of my email address, it's nicole@marenmarcoux.com. I'm definitely happy to work with people directly. If you have a question, I probably can't promise to reply immediately, but me or one of my colleagues will reply to you within a few days. So Marin Marcoux, we're a business marketing agency specializing in food and agriculture for the North American market. Our clients range from the USDA down to a small strawberry picking farm in York region. So we work with lots of different types of businesses, but it's all primarily food and agriculture. So social media essentially is just a conversation online. And the thing that I think a lot of companies forget about or don't do well is that conversations have to be two-way. So you're not just posting content without really thinking about, is this interesting for people? If you were in a party and you were just talking randomly and spouting information, you'd be able to see that people weren't interested. So you have to take a step back and think about who are you talking to and what do they care about, not just what do you want to promote. The other thing really with marketing strategically is you have to think strategically. Marketing is one function of your business. What I find as a marketing agency is a lot of people get excited about marketing because they're on social media every day. They see ads. They're exposed to different messaging in their everyday lives, and they sort of think, oh well, I can quite easily do it, but they don't really think about the business part of it. So, especially for small businesses, sometimes it's hard to differentiate between your personal voice and your business voice. So I would say before you really get started on social media or with marketing in general, you think about what are your business goals. So if your business goal is that you want to get more people to come to your farm shop, you want to launch a new product, you want to sell more online, you want to promote products that are in a grocery store to consumers. So you've already got the listing and you need to help promote it. Think about what is it your business is trying to achieve, and then what marketing tactics will support those goals. So these are some examples of different communication tactics that you might have in your marketing plan. And social media is just one tactic. So again, what you need to think about is social media is one part of your whole marketing program. And what you want to do with marketing is be very, very consistent. So you need to think about what is it you're trying to achieve, and what is your brand voice? What are the brand pillars that you stand for? So if you're, one day you're not talking about value, 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 or sales, the next day you're talking about premium, quality. Think about other brands that you love, and consider what are the core elements of what you're promoting or what you stand for that you need to communicate consistently to your consumer base. And a tool that I would highly recommend to help you get started, which you have to still use your judgment with, but is very, very useful, is ChatGPT. I don't know if we can actually see in the comments, has anyone used this tool much yet? But yeah, so it is actually incredibly powerful, and I would highly recommend that you try it. What you can do is give them a prompt that is quite specific. And I mean, even if you don't know how to use it and you can't remember what I'm telling you here today, you can go online and there are lots of different tutorials about ways to create prompts. But what you might say is, you're an expert marketing manager working in this field. Please create, and you could put your websites in for all of your key competitors or brands that you aspire to be like. Put their websites in and ask, what are the sort of core brand pillars that this company stands for, to help you develop your own. You can also do this for developing content, which I'll get to in a minute. But there's a lot of ways that really are incredibly quick now to help you do research, to help you develop your own brand voice. The other thing about marketing, and I'm just talking strategically in terms of marketing, is that it's a journey. So your marketing is not sales. Marketing is making people aware of what you're doing, trying to get them to be excited about what you're doing, and then take action to support what you're doing. So it's the AIDA principle is sort of an old-fashioned one, and it's attention, interest, desire, action. And there'll be customers that are on different paths or different points of this journey. But your marketing funnel to sell online or to get customers to buy should always have a variety of customers that are new. You're just getting their attention, but also you've got your core customer base who are already engaged and they continue to buy, which is the action. The screen grab I shared here are, this is from Meta. Meta is the owner of Facebook and Instagram. and Messenger, but we'll talk about Facebook and Instagram more. These are some campaign objectives that they provide options for when you're doing ad buys. So you can see here, again, it sort of feeds into this attention, interest, desire, action. What are you trying to achieve right now? Are you trying to get people to be aware of your product or business? Are you trying to get them to link to your Instagram page or Facebook page because you have a new product that you're launching and you want them to see that post? Do you want them to engage in the sense that they're commenting or sharing your work or looking at your videos? The leads are like driving um, through a funnel for sales? Your app promotion could be, if you have an app, I find a lot of companies at this level don't really have this one. That's not appropriate. Sales here is you can actually set up a marketplace on Facebook and Instagram to sell direct to. And TikTok also has that. So you have to think about when you're selling, what's the easiest journey for customers to take? Is it a shop that's linked to your website? Are you listing your products on other people's websites and you're just promoting it there? Do you have it cross-listed in lots of different places? Then you think about perhaps where your greatest margin is and you promote that one. But again, it's what is going to greatly support your business. Okay, so who are you talking to? Why do they care? This talks to what platforms do you want to be on and why. We don't have enough money to change consumer behavior, so you have to find the people that you want to speak to, who your core audience would be, and then try to connect with them where they are. I think it's very important that we don't make assumptions about what drives their purchase decision making. It is good to do some research and sort of step back and think about what is it that they value that you're doing? And sometimes the best way to do that is to just ask some of the customers you already have. If you don't have customers yet at all, maybe go to who you think might be your customers and ask them a few questions. Would you buy this product? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Etc. But it's really, really important when you're defining your point of difference from your competition that you have an understanding of what your customers would value, not just what you think they would value. And so, where are these people connected? A lot of the time we look at that demographically. And so you might say, right now I'm selling to, moms of young children. What age group are they? That we might determine where more of them would be on social media. But again, be specific to your business. There's a lot of people out there right now who say Facebook is dead. No one's on Facebook. There's still a lot of people who are very, very active on Facebook. They are an older segment, but that's not to say that they shouldn't be included in your messaging if that's who you're targeting or those kind of people are going to buy more frequently or perhaps buy more volume from you. So here we can see in terms of the census, what's happening in the population of Canada and Ontario. So I'm just going to close this little screen because it's hiding some of my content. We can see that millennials have taken over, especially in urban areas. In Ontario, there's been a massive sort of population shift with such an influx of immigrants from South Asia over the last few years. That has driven the average age down to about 40. And some recent research I've done, actually, it's statistically significant to the Ontario population, was that in many, many aspects of buying and usage for food, the South Asian population is very homogeneous to the Ontario general population in the sense that for example, I was looking to see, do we need to translate into other languages? And at this moment, I'm saying, no, we don't need to. What we found was that the South Asian population, 76% of them are speaking English as their first language at home. And in the general population of Ontario, 77% are speaking English at home. There's a lot of things that are very consistent. And if you look at that, it's because some of these immigrants that are coming into Canada, they're young, they're very well educated, they are not poor, they certainly have money or come from families who have some money, and they are completely fluent in English. So it's not like the sort of immigrants of the older days where they might come in with fewer connections, not a lot of money, and they don't speak the language. That isn't the case. So again, don't make sort of assumptions. Do some research or look online for research if you don't know it yourself. Okay, moving along. I think we can all see that basically the way people consume information and spend their time these days is completely different than it used to be like 15, 20 years ago. People used to read newspapers, magazines, watch TV for information. Nowadays, most people are on their phones like at least 6 hours a day. It's higher for younger demographics. And you can see this is where people, like companies, are spending all their advertising budget. I think someone commented you have to tweak for different audiences. 100% you do. They'll have different interests, sort of the way they use food is completely different. But I'm just saying, don't make assumptions that, you have to translate everything because you want to appeal to this large immigration group. Some things are actually, the assumption may not be correct. So just do a little bit of research, and you can do quick searches online. Just check the source and make sure that you feel confident that the source is a decent one. Okay, food inspiration. This is from, again, some proprietary research we did for a client. And what we asked was, where are you getting your food inspiration from? This is research that was just done in Q4 last year, so it's very, very new. And certainly there was some segmentation here. Older people were more likely to use cookbooks still and watch TV or stream shows. Men were more likely to say that they get inspiration from restaurants. Women were more likely to say that they use Pinterest. Everyone under 40 favors Instagram. TikTok is growing significantly. So, but what we can see here though is YouTube is, and this is very consistent with secondary research, YouTube is a really big one too. And I think a lot of people that I work with, they don't really think of posting on YouTube often. They think of Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, but they forget about YouTube. So we'll get into that in a second here. Which ones are most popular by age? This is data from last year. I would suggest it's probably pretty close now. TikTok is continuing to grow very, very quickly. Instagram is also continuing to grow. Facebook is stagnant now, but is still a very large platform for those sort of in their 50s, 60s, and beyond. Pinterest is small in terms of usage, but people who are on it really love it. Okay, I'm kind of whipping through here. TikTok, not just for teens, certainly not just for teens. There are a lot of, this is an American data, but I would suggest a lot of Canadians are very similar. There's a lot of people on TikTok for entertainment, and it continues to grow. So every year, like the data that will come through soon, the data will be showing that TikTok will grow some more. Here too, I think what's really interesting is that a lot of younger demographics are not using Google for search engine. They're using YouTube, they're using ChatGPT for searching. So they don't, and even TikTok. So like at Christmas, my 20-year-old son and his girlfriend were looking for recipes, and they didn't search them on Google. They didn't search them on YouTube even. They searched them on TikTok. So that's something to sort of think about. And again, ChatGPT, I think, is a significant game changer for research and content development. Okay, so going back to social media, I would recommend that you sort of listen and learn when you're getting started. And again, if you have questions, sorry, I'm just hopping here. Okay, go back. So the thing about social media is that it is a conversation. So if you're not really sure where to start, I would suggest you we're going back here to this screen where we say, are you speaking more to older people, younger people, etc.? And if you're speaking to older people, then maybe make Facebook your primary platform and then share the content to Instagram as well. If you're looking for a broader based platform, Instagram is very saturated, but still, very incredibly popular. So maybe you would do Instagram and then share the same content onto Facebook and perhaps YouTube. A lot of clients or schools would say, "Oh, you need to create different content for different platforms." That is best practice, but not everyone has the resources to do that. Even big companies don't necessarily have the resources to do that. So I would say pick your priority platform. Look what is trending. Spend time there. Just go and look as a consumer. What kind of look at the similar types of businesses and what types of content they are sharing, and see what kind of engagement they're getting. Do they have a lot of likes and comments? Those are the things that you'll see will have more engagement for you too. And So pick your priority platform and create content that you think will work best for that platform. And then you can just copy it to other platforms. It will save time, certainly. It's not viable for most of us to be creating original content for every platform. If you want to identify some key things of what people are looking for too, you can do Google searches. Hashtag searches come and go, but they can be useful still. When I say social listening, there are platforms you can pay for. But again, what I've just said about creeping accounts, that's a very easy way to do it yourself. And also look at influencers in your target area. What are they talking about? You'll find that in food, there are certainly seasons. And, if you think about the old magazines of day, uh, every year it's the same kind of thing. The holiday season is always about indulgence, delicious food, gifting ideas. Um, we're not really worried about calories at that time of the year. The early, the first, right now we're in the season where people are cutting out drinking. They're looking to eat healthier. They're all getting back to the gym, right? So there's certainly periods in the summer where people are talking about salads and entertaining outside. Think about what's going on in the seasons and how you can connect to things that are already relevant in everyday life. One tip here too is when you're doing social listening. I've done this forever, but I have a second account that I use on all of my platforms where I just creep. And it's not like it's creepy, but I don't want necessarily people knowing that it's me. So I have a second account that is anonymous, and I'll go and engage there and see what people are talking about, see what people are looking at, just so that competitors can't easily see what I'm doing. Okay, so moving to um, the different platforms and the type of content to share there. Instagram is highly visual. It used to be about curated, beautiful photography when it first started. It has really had an identity crisis over the last couple of years with the growth of TikTok. Reels continue to perform very, very well there. Reels in a sort of TikTok style. Um, but what we're finding right now is that carousels are also kind of made a bit of a comeback. And a carousel is where you swipe for the content. Right now, a lot of people are doing even recipes on carousels instead of a video. So you would have photos with text on top about the ingredients that you need to use. Again, this is the type of thing that you only really know when you're kind of in it to win it. So you have to be participating in the platform to see. I appreciate with small businesses, resources, and the time to create content, the time to create, the time to post, the time to engage can be overwhelming. With all marketing, again, strategically, you say, what do I need to do to support this business goal? If it's really important to support your business, then you have to somehow find the resources or time to do it. You either hire someone to do it, or you set aside time to do it. And I would strongly argue that consistency is far more important than frequency. So if you really only have time to post once a week, then post once a week, but make sure that you do it really the same time every week. So you could say, for example, think about your business. If your key times for selling are the weekend, then maybe you post on Wednesdays every day. And you say, thinking about, weekend shopping, here's the recipe you might want to use this weekend. This is where, and then you remind people about what you're promoting and where it's available. If that's all you can do, then just do that to start, because doing something consistently is better than doing nothing. Ideally, obviously, you would post far more. There's a lot of people posting several times a day. But again, I would say that probably with most small businesses, they just don't have the resources to do that. And that really is okay. Just make sure that what you're doing is consistent in terms of your brand messaging, the way it's presented, and your scheduling, because then at least your followers will know what they can come to expect from you. What we'll also see is that the curated type of content has kind of gone away. So when people say, oh, I'm worried it doesn't look professional enough, I wouldn't really worry about that at all. We used to spend a lot of our business time allocated to really professional, high quality content development. And now most of our content development is done on the phone. A lot of it is done on the phone. And that's not just for stories, it's also for reels. So the accessibility of content is as open as it's ever been. It's as easy as it's ever been. There are things in the apps to help create reels if you haven't done it before. Um, and if you're not sure how to do it, then ask a young person to show you on their account how they do it. And you'll see that it is quite easy. But really, it's kind of like any new skill. The more you do it, the more confidence you'll have with it. So you have to start somewhere, and I'd say just go for it. So with TikTok and Instagram, people really do like to see people now. It is very acceptable still to be anonymous and not show people. I would also be mindful of who you're showing. If you really don't have someone who's comfortable on screen, or that person doesn't necessarily not going to stay with your business, you don't want all of your followers to become really, really happy and excited to see, Emily, but she's only going to be there for the summer season. You need to have either a variety of people so that your followers aren't expecting to see the same face every time. Or if it's somebody that you really feel confident is going to stay with the business long term, then of course you can make them your spokesperson. With Facebook, a lot of the time you can, I would say Facebook, I like it because it's a little bit more flexible. You can put a variety of different formats of content in there, and you can actually put links directly in Facebook that people can click. In Instagram, you have to go to the bio for a clickable link. But again, you pick the platform based on where you think your core business will be supported. So where is your core demographic? And that's what you make your priority platform. YouTube is by far the most used platform in Canada, and it's for all different ages. There are a variety of different formats there. Someone said TikTok has the best content creation interface you can copy. You definitely can. The thing about TikTok is that sometimes they have a watermark, and Instagram doesn't like that, to see the watermark. So if you save the video as a video and then post it into Instagram, that's better. Sometimes too on Instagram, you're not allowed to use the same music, so you might have to change the audio. That's the only thing. Sorry, going back now to YouTube. There's a variety of different formats. You can do longer form videos, which are more time consuming to create. There are also YouTube Shorts, which we have had great success with. They are very similar to Instagram Reels or TikTok videos. You can put them up in YouTube just the same way. So you'd go into your YouTube account, create video, and then you just put in a short. And if it's a certain time length, YouTube will automatically put it into shorts. What I really like about YouTube is that it has a greater shelf life. So a longer shelf life. A lot of the time on Instagram and TikTok, after a day or two, it gets buried. It doesn't really get shown to other people anymore. On YouTube, what we're finding is that content that was posted 12 months ago is still growing in views. So YouTube is, I think, trying to be more competitive to compete and get people to go to shorts. They're a bit more generous in how often they show it to people without spending money. So I'd say give it a try. YouTube Shorts can be really interesting. And YouTube also now has even just posts, just pictures, which is relatively new. I've said here about advertising, YouTube advertising, but really I think an important thing is talking about advertising in general. One of the comments I saw in the challenges that you're facing is how do you grow followers? How do you get people to see your posts? I think the unfortunate thing is that all of these platforms are businesses. So they will highly reward companies and brands that do advertising. I would basically, all of our clients pay for ads at some point, either during a peak season or consistently throughout the year. If you don't do any ads, it's very, very, very difficult to grow your audience and to get any views or engagement at all. It's just the way it is. These are businesses, they want your money. And what you will find is that on most platforms, if you spend some money, your organic impressions will go up too. And so what I've seen is that, we do a paid program, the organic impressions go up. We've had some clients say, oh, well, we don't need to do ads anymore because our organic impressions are so much better. But it's like it's a hand in glove. They go together. If you take away the ads, then I promise you the organic impressions that you have been enjoying will certainly go down as well. So it is important, again, strategically, when you're looking at what do you want to achieve with your business and what's your marketing plan, that you allocate resources appropriately. How much money do you think you want to spend to promote your product? And a lot of people would spend money in the past doing advertisements or trade shows, all sorts of different things. And we still do that. Like TV ads or radio ads or newspaper ads or local ads, billboards, etc. Sponsoring the local soccer team, etc. Right? There's all these different ways that you can decide in your business to allocate resources. So think, how much do you need to allocate to social media advertising? It doesn't have to be a ton of money. Sometimes people can create quite good success with something like $10 or $15 a day for a month, or it doesn't have to be thousands and thousands. But when you're doing your ads, you do have to ensure that you're geo-targeting the people that you want to talk to. You're picking the right type of ad creative. Again, it might be worth doing some research. Either a lot of the platforms like Facebook will have free courses you can take to help you learn how to do advertising with them. On YouTube, it's a great resource to go and look at how do you create Facebook ads? How do you create ads on Meta? How do you create successful ads on YouTube? There will be videos there. Just make sure you use a current video because things are always changing. They're changing very, very rapidly. You'll also find that if you spend a certain amount of money, the platform will reach out to you and offer you free advice from their experts to help refine some of your ads. But you do have to have a certain threshold before you kind of get that service.
This is great, Nicole. I do have a couple of audience questions
100%.
that we can get to if you'd like.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay,
Yeah, do it.
awesome. Yeah, so I have one here. Should I be using Canva or a platform like that to design my content first before uploading it to social media apps?
We do, yes. I would say it depends on if you're working really just in TikTok or just in Instagram and that's your main thing, it's actually better. The platform actually likes it better if you create the content in that platform. So you'll see if you create something in Canva and just upload it to Instagram or upload it to TikTok, it would perform worse on average than if you created it in the platform. Platforms reward people who create it in their platform. But what we do to kind of get around it, because we have a team, we create things in a program similar to Canva, but then we upload it into Instagram or TikTok and tweak it slightly or add music there. So it's sort of tricking the platform that we created it in the platform.
Right. Okay, that's good
But
advice.
I personally find Canva is actually very user friendly. Their paid version is very cheap for what you get. I would recommend you pay for it. You can get tons of access to social media, stock images, videos. They have tons of like AI opportunity. Honestly, they're coming up with so much there now. You can create videos. It uses AI to resize things automatically for different platforms. Again, with all of these things, you still have to spend some time tweaking it. You can't just take it and post it. You have to look at it, of course. But it's really come along in the last couple of years, and it's can really save you a ton of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say Canva's a great one, but then maybe just slightly, if you have time, tweak it slightly or add a little bit something when you upload it into Instagram or TikTok, and then you'll do even better.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. And we had some discussion in the chat earlier about the use of AI and some of those AI tools and how there's a line where, some of the content can be really good, but then it can cross this line into like really cringy and like obviously AI. So like edit where
Super
you
weird.
think,
That's
yeah.
100%. 100%.
So no,
Yeah,
that's
AI
great
has come up a
advice.
long way, but again, like I would say right now the verbiage is far superior to the visuals that they're creating. A lot of the visuals are super weird,
Yeah,
not usable, and sometimes too, like you've got your own brand, right? You've got your own product. You can't use stock photography. You have to, um, you have to upload your own photos or your own
right.
video, right?
Yeah.
But certainly AI can help very quickly resize things or cut things to a certain length. They can sync the music better. Like, you can use the tools that are there as they make sense to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, were there
Okay.
other questions?
I have one more question here, and then if you're able to hang on for a couple minutes, I'm just mindful of our time.
Oh, goodness. I'm so
Maybe,
sorry. I've gone
no, this
over.
is
I
great.
apologize. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
this is good. And if you're able to hang on, you could reply to folks in the chat there that have some questions for you.
Yeah, that'd be
Um,
fine.
but here's a question that might be helpful here to help wrap things up as well. What metrics should farmers track to know whether their social media efforts are working or not?
100%. I would say again, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to achieve awareness, impressions are a really good one because if people don't see it, then they're not going to be influenced by it. If you're looking for sales, then it would be again, you need sales is just a numbers game. So for every like 100 views, you might get one person going to your website, right? To click to buy. It's moving through the funnel. You'll have to realize you'll start with a bigger number and then it will shrink as you go through to an action. So I would argue like a lot of people are still really love community growth. In a way, it's a vanity metric. Does it matter if you have a massive community if they're not your target audience? Not really. It doesn't really support your business at all. So think about what you're trying to achieve in your business, and those metrics should support that goal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's great advice and kind of goes back to your first couple slides around what are your goals there. No, that's great. Thank you so much. And there are a couple of comments and questions just in the Zoom chat here. If you have time to
I
respond to
definitely
people,
will.
that would be lovely.
Thank you for cutting me off. I'm
Just
sorry it
wanted,
took so long.
no, this is good. Just checking here. Okay, thank you. No, it's great to have you, Nicole. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with folks. As you said, social media, it's such a huge topic, so we could probably dedicate several days and several workshops just to this topic alone. So really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. I will turn my video and sound off and go through some of the questions. Thanks,
Great.
everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you so much. Great. So next, I'm going to pass things over to Danielle, who's going to welcome our speakers for our next panel. Over to you, Danielle.
Great. Thank you, Krista. So first off, I will introduce Emily Fitzpatrick. She's the lead farmer florist at Mapleton Acres. She's the only farmer florist.
Sorry, Danielle, you're
Apologies
muted
there. I
there.
think
There we go.
I clicked it twice. So thanks, Krista. Emily, so first I'll introduce Emily. So Emily Fitzpatrick is the lead farmer florist at Mapleton Acres. She's the only farmer florist who is full-time at their flower farm located between Fergus and Arthur. As a former educator and small business owner, Emily and her husband Andy moved to the farm in 2019 and found flowers in 2021. Mapleton Acres grows many of the flowers you see in flower shops from their 2-acre field, focused on celebrating the beauty that can be grown here in Ontario through their flower subscriptions, on-farm store, workshops, and their signature Cut Your Own Flowers experience in August and September. And Romy Schill, her family manages a large commercial sheep flock focusing on accelerating year-round lambing to supply meat lambs to local butchers and breeding stock to other producers. About 10 years ago, she started to develop a business using their wool, and she now works almost full-time on the wool retail business, doing everything from social media, website design, product development, and production. So please leave questions for the panelists directly in the Slido Q&A. We will try to answer them at the end of the panel. So great. Thanks to you both for joining us today. And first, I'd like to turn it over to Emily. If you could please tell us a little bit about your farm and your journey with Mapleton Acres.
Yeah, excited to be here. So what you see on your screen right now is a picture of our flower field. So Danielle, like you said, we grow on about 2 acres of cut flowers. Back in 2021, we started, and it was like a little tiny part. We had about 10 rows of flowers. And then, yeah, we sold direct to customer. That's our main focus here. Those are kind of our audience that we use the most with social media, as well as our online sales. And we've moved from kind of one-off bouquet deliveries to anybody who would reach out to us on Instagram and say that they wanted flowers that week, to regular flower subscriptions and weddings and events, and our cut flower production as our cut your own flowers experience. Yeah,
Fantastic.
this is a picture. Oh yeah,
Sorry,
go
go
for
ahead,
it.
Emily.
No. This is a picture of our dahlia field. If any of you are in cut flower production, we all know how beautiful the dahlias are. So we're morphing what was kind of just the flowers that I like to grow into kind of the flowers that our community really, really loves lately.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Emily, for sharing. And next, I'll turn it over to Romy. If you could please share your story about your lamb operation and Revolution Wool Company.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. We have been raising sheep here for 17 years now. And it started as just a small flock. We had 25 ewes, really enjoyed working with the sheep. As we grew our family and our business, it was really just a focus of ours to sort of have a lot of sheep and for both of us to be home full time on the farm. We dabbled a little bit in sort of farm gate meat sales, that kind of thing, when my second kid was born. So yeah, it's almost 12 years ago. I kind of did the first little batch of yarn, thought this is kind of cool, kind of used a completely different part of my brain. I'm a very crafty kind of artistic person. So it was a way that I kind of understood that kind of stuff. I'm like, well, like we could do this with wool, we could make this with yarn. So it kind of just slowly grew from there. But yeah, kind of the social media thing started probably about 10 years ago, where I just wanted to share stuff on the farm, connect with other producers. I found it was a great way for us to help connect with other sheep farmers to sell our breeding stock. And we wanted to sell breeding stock because it's an avenue where we could get more income for what we were already doing and just increasing the value of our product. And then I just sort of had everything on my farm account, which if you want to look at pictures, circle our lambs. So go on over there and give us a follow. I kind of kept that very farm focused, and then I split off. I rebranded all the wool stuff to Revolution Wool Co. So you can go follow that too. And on Revolution Wool Co., I got really sort of more focused on very product specific stuff and the wool side of the business.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm glad both of you could join us today. Now we'll get into some of our panel questions. So looking at where your farm business social media journey started out. What did it look like? What does it look like today? And if you could share one strategy that helped get you from where you started to where you are today. So we'll kick it off with Emily first.
I actually had to go back and look at the very first photo, which wasn't even a photo of like flowers or me. It was like the word hello back in 2021 when we first started. And it's back in 2021 when we started, so 3-ish years ago. It was really just like whatever photo I had or whatever I was doing, it was like, let's take a picture and share this. There was really no intentionality behind it. I didn't really know who I was talking to. Fully transparent, I was trying to get more followers for the sake of having a bigger number kind of appear up there on my profile. And from there to now, my biggest strategy has been really figuring out who I am talking to on the other side of our preferred platform, which is Instagram, Mabel to Makers here, and curating photos that don't necessarily have to be like professionally done, but I know who my customer is on the other side of that, and I'm posting what they're stuck in right now. So if it's a really cold, yucky day, posting a beautiful photos of some peonies, to remind them that spring is coming. That's kind of the moment that they're in, and it's helped us get a lot more intentional on our posting.
I don't know if I have to add anything else, Emily. Yeah, I just posted what I thought I wanted to show. Especially, I guess I started, so I like remember signing up for Facebook when it first started, when I was still back in university. Like I've been here through like this whole social media thing, and that whole, yeah, as a business owner, you definitely go through this of learning what you need to post depending on what your business goals are and that kind of thing. And that's a really big learning curve. And I'm not sure there's necessarily a book or a lesson you can follow for that, because you really need to figure out who you are and what your goals are. Um, for the farm side, I post a lot of like, hey, here's the sheep today. This is what happened. Um, I'll post little like DIY videos of how to do this for a sheep or how we do this. And on the wool side, I've become much more intentional in highlighting specific products. I've been working with someone to do some Google ads, and that's kind of shifted my thinking again a little bit. Is you need for us, for our products anyways, I need to educate people, need to learn why wool bedding is good. They need to learn these very specific things because they don't know. So putting that education piece in there. um, and then I have been doing some kind of, I wouldn't say like super branded or stylized, but I make sure it has like a bit of a theme. I have specific brand colors just to make everything flow. Some of that also ties back into my website and the style of photos I use there and the types of pictures consumers need to see on a website. So that's very much linked as well. Um, and this new person I'm working with for like my Google stuff, he actually pointed out, he says, um, most of my traffic is coming from Google searches because people are, they're not, they're going, where do I buy a wool duvet? That's a Google thing. That's not an Instagram thing. So I've almost now this year, I think I'm pulling back off Instagram a little bit because that's not where I'm driving my sales. So that's something else you need to figure out. Like, I thought, why am I taking all this time to post this stuff on Instagram, which and social, which can be super frustrating and can be very exhausting? Why am I doing that if my sales are coming from a different source? So that's something else to look into.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And we did see that in some of the comments in Slido, turning those followers into actual sales, because it can be an education piece or a fun piece for people, but how do you actually make sure they become a customer at the end of the day?
Yeah. And just to add to that, actually, quickly, we have to remember who those customers are or what people are doing on social media. A lot of the times, they're scrolling on social media. They're not in a buy mindset. And if you're wanting to sell a product, that's maybe not the space you need to be in to drive a sale.
That's a really good point. And so, what keeps bringing you back to leveraging social media for your farm business? In other words, how does leveraging social media help your farm business?
Yeah, I can jump in on this one.
Sure.
I think the reason I keep coming back is for our social proof. So flower farming, like lots of farming, is very seasonal. We have beautiful flowers in August and September, and the rest of the time the field doesn't look like anything. So it's our social proof. It's when you hear of a flower farm, you're like, well, what does that really look like? Like, is it a raised bed in somebody's like front yard, or is it like a field of sunflowers? So that our social media posts and our social media strategy is really that social proof. Like people can come here, they can take photos, they get to share. And then it's like, no, 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 we're like legit, like we're a flower farm. And that really helps us kind of share what we do, versus like being like not knowing what you're coming to when you come visit the farm.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that authenticity. You need to show, um, especially with a farm, you want to show people what you're doing, that you're involved, that you care. I shared stuff the other day about I had some dead lambs born, right? Like it's the stuff we all go through, and it's that type of authenticity and real story that people will connect with. So you might not necessarily get a direct sale or something, but just showing that you're a real person, you have real things going on in your life, and people love that. And they love learning about what's going on. I had so many people ask, well, like, why did the lamb die? Why this, and this? And because they have no idea. And that's another way to connect and keep the conversation going.
Yeah, definitely. So what resources and tools do you recommend to overcome any learning curves related to using social media for your business?
My, I guess, best tool would be to pick one thing and get good at that one thing. If you kind of jump over our social media, I don't post reels. Like I don't even know how to make one fully transparently. Um, our thing is finding flower or pictures that people can connect with that they will then want to talk about or then they will want to share, versus kind of going down that shiny object syndrome habit. There's a proper way to say that. But instead of being like, oh, reels are the next thing, I have to be posting reels. And then you kind of didn't really know what you were doing with before and then following that. So mine has always been just kind of do one thing and do one thing well.
But aren't you supposed to dance to the latest reel and the music and make it all like fun, right? Yeah,
Romy, you and I can do one of those.
that's a really good point.
Labs. Yeah.
You try to do these, all of the things or what you think or what looks like is very popular. It can make it very frustrating and make you hate to want to do it, which isn't useful. But yeah, like kind of picking that one thing, and getting really good at that. And a lot, yeah, consistency in some way. Yeah, maybe a couple times a week or something. And I find it's hard to not get hung up or feel bad or guilty about, like, oh shoot, I didn't post this week or I didn't do this week. Like, it's okay. Like, try not to feel bad about it. It could possibly affect your account or your viewers or something, but you as a person still have to be happy or like comfortable with what you're putting out, and then throw life in there, throw harvest, throw you know busy calving, lambing, whatever. Something's going to change, especially on a farm. So sometimes it can be hard to do that consistently, but just don't get hung up about it.
That's some great advice, and we're rolling right into our question about advice. So, what is one piece of advice you would give the farmers on the line today looking to kickstart their social media journey for their farm business?
I've got two, but they're
Yeah,
two
two's
small
great.
ones. Is the first one is we all take photos, whether it's to like share with like your family or share with a friend or just be like, oh my goodness, how did this happen? You grab a photo of it. Is using a folder or like favoriting them when you go to people your photos, the ones that you're like, no, this I have a story behind, or this was a really special flower that finally bloomed at the farm that I sent a picture to my mom. And then you're not sitting there scrolling through your photos or sitting there being like, what am I going to share? I've got nothing to share. Nothing exciting happened. And then the other one is get messy and be okay with it not being perfect. Because social media has such a short shelf life for the most part that even if you post a photo and you're just like, I really don't like my hair in that today, or I don't think this is going to do well, it's gone in 48, 72 hours, a week, that you can try again tomorrow and post something different. So don't try to make that one piece perfect. Kind of get messy, and done is better than perfect.
Yeah, and just start. But yeah, if you are wanting to, oops, if you are wanting to sell a product and all of that, I would recommend, if you are gonna, create a Facebook page or an Instagram page, TikTok, whatever, make sure you have things like a link to your website on there. And where people can find like a little bit of an about me and stuff, and make sure that, yeah, your story, it is short lived, but that click to the website where then they can learn about your products, and then on there have your story, your products, some professional photos to really showcase what you're doing. because if people are taking the time to go to your websites, that's where you can get across to them what's actually happening. You can, in your about us or your products, you can make sure in there you have your very specific points that you want people to learn about, because that doesn't always, people will miss that on social media. But if they're taking the time to go to your website, make sure that that is ready to go.
And Romy, I love that. It's like moving them through that journey. Like social media is not necessarily where you make the sale, but it's where you can get their email address or get them to your website.
Yeah, and that's one of
It's not
those
the end
metrics.
game.
The metric you can follow is who's moving from your social to your website and that kind of thing.
Fantastic. I'm just looking through our Slido questions here. I think we'll start with this one. Have you run any contests on your social media accounts, and do you find them good for business?
I have. I don't know if it's worthwhile. Sometimes you get a few followers. I would say the same thing about I tried again this year, doing like the Black Friday thing, adding a little bit of a sale, something like that. You don't get extra sales. I haven't found that for our business. And I think for maybe most people on this Zoom, we are in the position to be selling premium products to our customers. And if you are selling a premium product because it's going to be local, it's going to be handmade, it's coming from your farm, you're putting a lot of work into it, it is a premium product. That is not something linked to sort of the giveaway sale type thing. So keep that in mind as well for that. I haven't really found that it works well.
Yeah, and I would say for like our premium luxury items, like a flower subscription or a specific delivery, totally. I found it has worked well for our experiences, and mainly because it's just more word of mouth. You're going to drive a lot farther to come and experience a cut your own flower field than you are necessarily to pick up a bouquet on a weekend. So that has helped us indirectly to get more eyes on our experience, but it's not like a really quick turnaround. So we had a private workshop here this year. She participated in a giveaway 2 years ago and finally made that like time happen. So it's not necessarily like giveaway today, next week we're sold out kind of thing.
Right. Fair enough. This one question I'm going to modify a little bit to ask you directly because it's maybe more of a Nicole question, but have either of you used professional videos for your farm business, or do you find that just using your own short, authentic shorts, here's what we're up to and who we are, is more effective?
I did have someone out once to do like a quick little video clip that I could use as like a promo thing. And I never ended up really using it much. So just more the stuff that I'm doing myself. I find even Monday, I have a little bit of a photo shoot plan. Like I'm not hiring a professional photographer like that, but I have like a shot list set out for like specific types of pictures I want, some specific products I need to update photos on. And with most, like even just phone cameras these days, you can get a lot of really high quality images done. But it really depends on maybe what your skill set is too. Like if you feel really uncomfortable shooting videos or that's really not your thing, hire someone out to do it because they're going to be a lot more efficient at doing that work than you will be anyway. So it's definitely worth the money.
Yeah, and we've never paid for video work. I do pay for professional branding photos to come in and capture the farm once or twice a year. Also, because we have an 8-week window where the pretty flowers are blooming and we need as many photos as you can get. And it's not high priority on my list for it. So, like Romy said, I hire out to make sure we get those photos so that in the dead of winter, I've got them. Yeah.
Great. And how did you choose which social media platforms to focus your energy on? I know you said your favorite, Emily, is Instagram.
Yeah. flower farming is super visual. People want to see pretty pictures of flowers, and my ideal client or my ideal customer hangs out on Instagram still. So it's kind of that perfect match. And it's one that I know well and I can quickly post to it without it feeling heavy. I have a TikTok account, but I'm still not 100% sure how to do things on that yet.
Yeah, TikTok's kind of my happy place. Facebook has a lot of crazy people on it. I don't know if there's a polite way to put that. They're more what's the word? Aggressive, or like I find on Facebook you get more of like angry comments, or they would like pick up on stuff or something. Um, so I post on Instagram, it automatically posts to Facebook. Unfortunately, I forget to like go check actual Facebook comments. Um, yes, more trolling on Facebook. A comment just came up. I was on TikTok. That's kind of a fun one to use, like to make videos. I was actually posting videos on TikTok to kind of test that out, and then just using that video and uploading it to Instagram. But personally, I had to just quit TikTok because I would end up scrolling, and it ended up being, I spend half an hour like, shoot, I want this song for this video or something, half an hour later. Like it ended up being a waste of time. So for me, that didn't work. And Twitter, I quit Twitter. That's a whole other world. It's not necessarily ideal for marketing or sales, that kind of thing. And I found it was also very sort of combative, that kind of thing. So kind of pick what you enjoy, maybe, but figure out what your customers are, right? And where are your customers? But again, you have to enjoy it, because if you super hate doing it, like it's not making the job fun, right?
Right. This question's kind of around engaging with your customers. So the questions and comments that you're seeing on your posts, how do you respond and manage those responses? I know in our poll earlier, we saw a lot of like time management and how much time you spend here, and how much time you're engaging with your audience. And to Nicole's point about it's a conversation. So how do you manage those comments and questions on your platform?
So I kind of set my social media as like a business responsibility that I've got to do. So it's the same as like, I need to go weed this field or this row. It's going to take me an hour. I do the same, or do my best to do the same with Instagram. And while I'm on it for those specific periods of time, that's where I'm like re-engaging. Or if somebody says like Happy New Year, I'm going to respond with like a sentence or something more meaningful than like a thumbs up, like to encourage that conversation. If they're detailed questions, I ask them to either move to my DMs or send me an email and get it out of that kind of social media, gets lost in the comments, can't find that conversation again piece. And I find that my customers really enjoy that.
You're amazing, Emily. I wish I was like that. I have a really hard time communicating that way. So if someone's like, oh, like that looks amazing. Oh, that sheep's really cute. That blanket looks awesome. I just like heart it. I like it's hard for me to come up with a response. And I find sometimes if I do, it's just like yeah, we think the color's amazing too. And to me, that's a very inauthentic response for me, or like that's just not how I communicate. So for me, that is extremely hard to do. But I will at least look at the comments and give them a heart, or I'll just do the thumbs up. But I don't know, maybe I should get some help with that, because yeah, to keep that conversation going, that's so hard for me.
Well, and I also think, Remy, like it depends on what, like if they're like, ooh, pretty dahlia. I'm like, thanks. We grow a ton of them here at the field, or they're in bloom right now, or have like, here's actually the variety name. So yeah, definitely sometimes it's much harder. But I feel like if you're able to have that conversation, or if somebody comments with like an actual tangible sentence, you can really like build off of that versus just, that's cute.
Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
yeah. If they have an authentic question, ChatGPT would be a good one. Be like, give me some responses to answer the questions in this post, and it would give you, 10 awesome answers.
Right.
Yeah.
You spoke a little bit about this, Romy, earlier, but is your webpage your launching point for your social media interaction with customers? How are they, finding you? Or do you know?
I maybe don't really know 100%. I just know that my website sales are coming more from web searches, not directly from Instagram. But again, if people know who you are via Instagram, maybe that's why they're Google searching you. So some of those funnels, like it's not necessarily a funnel because you're not sure where it's coming from or starting. Sure, it may have come off of a Google or someone's like, oh, right, Romy makes, Revolution Wool makes wool duvets. And that's what you type in the search bar, but they know you through Instagram. So that's a hard one. I don't know if there's an easy way to answer that or find out. Just like, if you spend money on an ad, you might not get direct sales from it. It might be a 2 week, a 1 week, or it might be like 6 months down the road that sale is actually happening from that original interaction or post.
Yeah. And I think it's understanding that all of those work together, like you said, Romy, of like what I post on Instagram is going to help support my web sales, which is going to help support word of mouth that will, at least in our case, Christmas dinner happened. Somebody got engaged. Now that person who knows me from Instagram is like, oh, you should go talk to Mapleton Acres about your wedding flowers, or looking for something to do. Have you considered going here? Or I saw Revolution Wilco at this show. I know that my grandma's looking for something, so I'm going to share that so that it all works together. It just doesn't work as an isolated silo kind of piece.
Fantastic. There is a question for you, Romy, specifically about your spent hides. I'll drop it in the chat though in a couple minutes and you can respond to it directly. There is a question that just jumped in though. I'll say this is the last one and then we'll, if you have any final thoughts. But how long did it take you to get into a rhythm with regular social media posts?
There's a rhythm.
I'm glad you said it, Romy.
I don't know. After like fall Christmas retail sales, I'm just like so done. But we are starting lambing, so I'm kind of excited to like post more stuff on the farm page again because I'm going to be lambing. And I actually find when I'm super busy in the barn, it's really easy for me to like make quick content. That doesn't seem like a lot of work to me, but like posting regular content on like the wool business for some reason is. I don't know. But yeah,
And
like
I'm kind of
once or twice a week is pretty easy for me to do. And it becomes a little bit of a habit. Like you notice when you don't do it, right?
Yeah, and I'm kind of the opposite to you. Like when we're in full bloom here, I have tons of photos, but I rarely ever try like remember to post. Usually a story being like, we're open, come visit. Um, but now that I get to do a little bit more desk work in January, it's like my morning coffee, and then I post to Instagram with like the what we're working on today or a pretty new variety that we're gonna grow. And build that habit, and then it goes out the door when Valentine's Day is going to show up. But like I think it's just not beating yourself up too when you fall off the routine of it. And even if you haven't posted for a year, a week, 3 months, just jump back in because I guarantee your audience maybe didn't notice that you didn't post. Only you kind of notice those things.
Right.
And yeah, if you missed posting, if you post again, people are like, oh, right, this person. Like it'll sometimes bring you like back onto people's radar, or like the algorithm will pick it up. Like they haven't posted in so many weeks, and then it actually shows to people.
For sure. Great. Well, you brought us right to 11:20, so we will wrap it up there. There's been a lot of engagement in the chat as well, and a lot of responses from Nicole too. So thank you, Nicole, for engaging on that. And any additional questions, if you wanted to put them in the chat for Romy and Emily, I'm sure they'd be happy to help you out. So thank you so much, Emily and Romy, for the discussion today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. And we'll pass it back over to Krista now for our next session.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. Great conversation, everyone. Thank you so much. So moving on, I'd like to introduce our next panel of the day, Growing Digital. So please welcome RJ Taylor and Emma Butler to the conversation to tell us a little bit more about selling into online markets. So first, RJ Taylor is a second-generation fish farmer and owner at Spring Hills Fish. They raise fish in Grey County as well as Manitoulin Island through a partnership with the local First Nation. Spring Hills is listed at all major grocery stores and also delivers their fish to more than 1,500 homes every month through a home delivery program. RJ is also the managing director for the Ontario Aquaculture Association and the vice chair for the Livestock Research and Innovation Corporation. And Emma Butler is the co-owner of J&E Meats. She works alongside her husband, Josh, on their third-generation beef, sheep, and cash crop farm in Croton. After starting their farm-to-table business in 2018, they began selling directly to customers through their farm store and online shop. Their store features individual cuts of their farm-raised meat, fresh and frozen, and a variety of local vendor goods. They also provide delivery and pickup options through their online shop. So welcome, RJ and Emma. Thank you both for joining us today. Good to see you both. And thanks for participating in the chat as well. I saw that, Emma, there was lots of good conversation going on earlier, so this is great. Likely we can touch a little bit on social media as needed too. But great to have you both. So maybe to start things off, RJ, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and the story behind Spring Hills Fish?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a second generation trout farmer, born and raised. My parents actually got involved in fish farming over 50 years ago. My dad started our first farm 30 years ago, so 1995. So my sister and I, who run the business now, grew up here. But we both left at age 18 and swore we would never be fish farmers. It was a very small and manual operation back in the day. But sometimes you go out and venture around the world and around the city, and you find out everything you were looking for was right at your doorstep all along. So Arlen jumped back into the business about 10 years ago, and then I came back about 7 years ago. So most of our 30-year history has been just a business-to-business supply, so growing lots of baby rainbow trout for other fish farmers. But the pandemic was really a turning point for us. So we found ourselves with a lot of fish in the system, a lot of canceled orders, all throughout Ontario for the Quebec tourism industry, lake stocking, all the way out west. And we needed to do something with all that fish. So we got a bunch of our staff together, drank a bunch of Corona, filleted fish by hand in our little plant, and just started posting on Facebook. And in a few short months, in those first few months of the pandemic, really exploded for us. So we started expanding our delivery zones. We started diversifying the fish that we grow. We started bringing in fish from other places. And then you fast forward all of this time. That moment for us, engaging with people online, telling our story, delivering fish to so many people's doorsteps. It's not only has it sort of transformed our business, because now we're very connected with the people eating our fish, but it also gave us a bit of a profile that we were able to leverage to get into some of the major retailers. And then we got into a pretty large farming operation up on Manitoulin with Shishigawani First Nation. And that moment of switching from direct supply has really been probably the biggest transformation point for us. So thank you for having me today.
Awesome. Thanks, RJ. And yeah, great to see some of the opportunities coming out of that challenging time back in 2020. So really great to hear your story. Thank you. And Emma, can you tell us more about J&E Meats and your farm business journey?
Absolutely. Good morning. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Because we have some internet connections, and I also feel like I'm floating now. I blurred my background. It looks weird. Also, disclaimer: I am working the front of house of our on-farm store today, so I'm going to be greeting customers as they come in. But as we all know, you got to do all the things. And also, just one quick side note: I'm absolutely fangirling because I've been following Spring Hill Fish for so long. And it's been so amazing just to see like the company grow and do all these cool, amazing things. I definitely want to come up for a tour sometime. I'm going to be bugging you, RJ, like because I have to meet you. I have to come see the place sometime. So I'm so excited.
Okay.
I'm so excited that we're on this conversation together. My name is Emma Butler. I'm the owner and operator here at JD Beats On Farm Store and Butcher Shop. So we have actually kind of a parallel, not so fishy story. To RJ during just before COVID, actually, my husband and I, we started selling direct to consumer from our garage. So that was in 2018. We've been here on our family farm since 1939. We're both multi-generational beef farmers. We do now, of course, we do beef, lamb, and chicken. We do cash crops, rotational grazing, regenerative agriculture, all the buzzwords, all the things we do it. And then so what makes our business stand out and different is that here in our on-farm store and butcher shop, we sell 100% of the meat that we raise on our farm direct to our consumers here in our community. So during COVID, as I said, we had kind of a parallel story to RJ. Our business really flourished and really grew. We built a small store. We moved from our garage, built a small store outside of our house, and we served thousands of customers through that store. It was an absolutely amazing experience. And then in 2022, we broke ground here for our new on-farm store and butcher shop, which is still on our farm. It's just located at the other end of it. And now what makes us kind of precedented in the market that we're in is not only are we selling direct to consumer all of our beef, lamb, and chicken that we raise on our farm, but we also are a full-scale butcher shop here. So we have an entire butchery team in the back. We dry age all of our products. We cut everything by hand. And we're really niching down and kind of leaning into that artisan butchery side of things as well too. So we do a lot of cool things, and it's just been an amazing experience so far to get to connect with our customers and share our story, and be able to meet other small business owners and work alongside them.
That's awesome. Thank you both. It's really good to have you both on this panel, so I'm excited. I'm going to dive into some of our questions today. So I'm wondering if you could both start off by telling us about which platforms you use to sell your products online, and maybe why they work for your business. We've been hearing a lot from folks that just choosing a sales platform can be like a hard first hurdle, and like knowing what works for your business and maybe what doesn't. So maybe RJ, I'll bounce back to you. What do you use, and why does it work well for Spring Hills?
Yeah. So I think we use kind of a whole suite of products, and I must say they're not the ones we started out with. We had to learn a lot of things the hard way. But I think anybody selling direct to consumers, sort of will tell you that finding new customers and converting them is probably like the most expensive and hardest activity. And in the early days, I definitely just wasted a lot of money on just like what I thought was targeted advertising, and you get massive amounts of clicks and visits, and you think you did something localized with a coupon and everybody should convert. But since then, I've really realized that like going after sort of lukewarm customers, folks that are like have heard about you before or have purchased these types of things before, and often like a lot of in-person events is the best way to sort of get new customers. It's also really taught me that holding on to your existing customers is really important. Because I think in the early days of the pandemic, when all these people were flooding us online, I think our customers a little bit for granted, but now I know that it's like it's a harder slog this last couple of years trying to find new ones, and so we've really sort of changed the whole experience. But directly to your question, we find a lot of our new customers through Facebook, but specifically Facebook groups. Fish tends to skew to a slightly like older audience that are still using those platforms less than they used to, but we're still really good for it. So it's not just like posting through Facebook; it's a lot through Facebook Marketplace, and then just I'm part of a lot of different like small town Facebook groups. Those are really like core hubs of places that we find people at. Instagram's really good for sharing content and familiarizing people. So the nuts and bolts of our system. So we have a WordPress website that uses WooCommerce. Never had any issues with it. It works very seamlessly. What's nice about those two things is they're a little customizable. So if you sort of have someone with a little more expertise, and we work with this small agency out of Hamilton called Rain Digital, we use a route planning tool called Optimal Route for our deliveries because we have 3 vans out usually 3 days a week. That is the best route planning tool and the cheapest. We've used several of them, including the old manually putting them into MapQuest. But Optimal Route is absolutely amazing. And then we use MailChimp a lot for the customer emails, a lot of the marketing emails, but also things like it's really easy for someone who, like me, who doesn't have an expertise in this, to do like the abandoned cart emails, the sort of we haven't heard from you in a while emails, here's a coupon to try again, things like that. And then I heard ChatGPT mentioned today. I find ChatGPT I don't really like it as an author for things, but I love it as an ideas generator. It really helps me like keep posts fresh and keep thinking of things, because after a couple of years, you sort of lose the luster of like new things to share. So it helps you kind of repackage old things. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. A lot of good advice there. So thank you. And maybe Emma, I'll go to you next. Which sales platforms do you use on your online store, and why do they work well for you?
So for us, we kind of did things a little bit backwards to if somebody was starting out their business in late 2024, 2025. We started back in 2018 with a brick and mortar, and we've kind of really had to grow up fast. Like we've had to go from being like a baby to a big girl really quickly, coming through the pandemic. It was the best thing that ever happened to our business. I say this all the time. Our business flourished and grew so quickly because of the pandemic. And during that, we also did see those spikes in online sales. Ordering online became a new thing. Customers became more comfortable ordering online. You saw the larger grocery chains having to do online sales and things like that. So by a stroke of luck, that's the only way I can describe it. I remember back in 2020 in January, my like big thing for 2020 was I was going to launch a website, and I really thought I was going to take on the world with online ordering. Nobody else I knew was selling meat online. So I was really going to revolutionize this thing. And then fast forward to March when the pandemic happened. I was really fortunate that I had already started making online sales, and I had already started kind of channeling my energy into that revenue stream. So that way that would not only increase my brick and mortar and my foot traffic because people would be coming to the farm to pick up their orders. They would be scheduling deliveries, etc. But this way it was also increasing my online presence simultaneously because I was on social media, advertising, you can order online, all of the things. Our online platform business has been really interesting. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is not easy to sell online, especially if you do have a physical brick and mortar location. For the longest time, I was the one woman show. I was doing it. I'm fortunate now I do have a team, but I know a lot of people don't have a team. I know it is just us out here doing all the things. So I really, really strongly advise if you're starting out your business, you do not have to start with a physical brick and mortar location. That is a giant investment. And if this is not your passion or you're just getting your toes wet, selling online is an absolute perfect option for you. It's a lot easier than it was in 2020. We had to do a lot of figuring things out, a lot of fumbling, a lot of awkwardness. And even in those last couple of years, right, it's come leaps and bounds. What my chief recommendation would be, so I personally use Square is my point of sale processing. So that is what I use here in my on-farm store. I've used Square as my processor since day one. And then they have an option to build a website through Square, which subsequently links your physical inventory in your brick and mortar. So for myself, I chose to go through Square to do all of my online sales and manage my orders because I needed that key element of linking my physical existing inventory in my brick and mortar with what is available online. So if I said I had 3 ribeye steaks and I had 3 online, I don't have 6 in total. I have 3 ribeye steaks. So for me, that was the key, was finding a website that could handle that linked capacity of inventory. And on top of that, I needed something that was going to be user friendly enough that I can manage on the back end, because they always make the customer experience on the front end so easy. You know, put this in your cart, pay for it, and it'll show up. Great. But as somebody that's not, you know, a website builder or website developer on the back end, it's really important to understand when you're doing your research that you are signing up for a logistical nightmare. You just know that. Like, I'm so happy to hear that RJ is like finding all the success and all the wins in the logistics, because it is, you know, you process these payments, they come in your sleep, which is an amazing way to make money. You wake up in the morning and you're like, ooh, I made $1,200 while I was sleeping. That's amazing. That's how you generate income and wealth for your company and all of the things. But then you have to deal with that during the workday hours. If you have to pull that inventory, you have to pack that order, you have to mark it as ready, you have to sometimes contact the customer to let them know that the order is ready. If you're delivering it, again, it's so exciting to hear Spring Hill Fish has like 3 vans on the road. That's so cool. That's winning. That's doing it. But not everybody is at that level. And some of us are still far away from that level. So sometimes it's us, you know, in our cars with our kids, dropping off your orders. And that is totally acceptable. But when you are selling online, you do have to understand that heavy responsibility of, yes, you get that income and you're generating the sales and you're doing all the things, but you have to execute that. And when you are a 1 or 2 person show, it can be difficult and it can be challenging. So jumping back to your question of what platform do you use? I personally use Square because that's what works for me in my business. There's a lot of fumbly, awkward things on the back end that I do not like. Would I jump up and recommend that to somebody? Maybe not, but that's the only platform that I have experience in. And if I was going to go back and do things differently, I probably would have maybe done a little bit more research. But like I said, selling online has come leaps and bounds to what it was. So I'm still using the system that I have for the last 6 years, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I can't take on another project right now. So I'm not about to change my entire sales platform. But for somebody just starting out and navigating the online sales space, really doing your research, talking to other business owners, like just straight up ask them, what do you do? What do you like? What do you not like? What do you recommend? Jumping in on those online forums and platforms, doing your YouTube research, TikTok, like we discussed that Rami and Emily were talking about TikTok a lot. I am a TikTok girly. I'm not on there because I would be too good at it, but I love TikTok for research. I go on TikTok to like learn things. So I've went on there to figure out, you know, how are other people selling online? What platforms are they using? You can use it as a research tool to really kind of put together your thoughts of, this is what I'm going to commit to. Because I don't know if RJ's experienced that, but switching your sales platforms after you've already started, it's like beyond a nightmare. I just don't want anybody to have to go through that, because exporting all of your inventory, you know, maybe building a new website, learning a new interface, again, handling those logistics is a lot. And when you are a 1-person show or a 2-person show or a small team, that is a very, very daunting task. So doing your research out of the gate and making sure that, you know, you're confident in what you're committing to, I think will ultimately lead to your success and your sanity.
Yeah, and good advice too, like do your homework on the different platforms before you get going, because if when you do take off, it can be really hard to switch. So yeah, appreciate that wisdom there too. RJ, I want to go back to you because you mentioned something earlier, and I know that you deliver to most parts of Ontario, and the system that you use, you actually can let your customers know pretty much the hour their order is going to arrive. So, can you tell us about that? How did you do that? How do you coordinate that through your online store and your delivery setup?
Yeah. Yeah. So we are similar to probably a lot of and a lot of folks. We're delivering a frozen perishable product. And so in the earlier days, I did try and see if I could outsource that onto like a different service, or people could pick it up and deliver, or what have you. And some of the companies down in the city like try and add that on. And we just found zero success with that, and zero success with like courier services. The courier services, I think that they can happen, but you need to have enough of a frequency to warrant like picking up the dry ice and investing in the insulated boxes and driving them to the down to the city to the depots so they get there in a day. I've tried and I've not succeeded, but I know other people have, and if that's something that people are looking into, I know a few other producers doing that. Um, so we have a little bit of like a customized website where through WooCommerce, sorry, I should say, so we have delivery zones. So we only deliver to a certain zone once a month. So we go everywhere the first week, and then we go somewhere else in the second week, and somewhere else in the third, and somewhere else in the fourth. So we're collecting those orders all month. And so by the time that week comes, trying to find a tool that did that automatically is just, it didn't really exist. So we had to build something. Which was like not cheap. Like it was, I think, somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000 to build this functionality into the website. But we just couldn't find it out there. And so what happens is that we download those orders for the month into like an Excel spreadsheet, and we upload those into Optimo Route. And then Optimo Route, we plan the routes, we tell it the drivers and the zones, we put in all the special exceptions for who, where, what, when, and how. And then through Optimal Route, then once the routes are finalized, Optimal Route does the text messages the day of, super useful, the morning of and 10 minutes out, and allows people a tracking link. It's so good, and that functionality doesn't really cost anything more, like an extra $5 a month or something. But then we download back from Optimal Route into MailChimp, and we manually put an email in that says on the Monday of that week, hey, your fish is coming this day. That's like a manual thing that we've done, mostly because we started notifying people the Monday of delivery week that their fish is coming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And once you start offering those sorts of communications, it's hard to take them away. So we do this manually. And then the customized piece is that then we can download the routes for the day from Optimal Route and upload them to our website. And then they built a little fancy tool which then converts that into an inventory sheet that the drivers then, when they head up to the plant, and when we're loading up our boxes and putting them in our vans, we know exactly what we need for that delivery run. And it works very seamlessly. It took a long time to get there. And so that's sort of how that tool works. So I will say too, I just wanted to, Emma, I love that you brought this up, and I wanted to echo that too. Anyone starting out, anyone looking at these tools, like we're all open books. If you even just ask us on Instagram, I love our tools, and I can share all the ins and outs of them, and that regularly sort of talk with other people about and comparing different tools and things as well. So happy to share any of that.
That's great. Thank you. And yeah, so important for both of you and your farm businesses to make sure your products are arriving fresh. So really great to hear kind of how you manage those aspects.
Yeah, a couple of things I was also going to say. We all know credit card fees are a slog for small businesses. So we also offer our customers the ability to just do e-transfer. And honestly, well, sometimes we get our e-transfers like days after we drop our product, but in like the 6 years I've been doing this, there's only one time that someone hasn't paid for a box. But that ability to like let people order and go through the process without having to necessarily give the money until they got it, I believe has gotten us a lot more customers. They can also pay on the doorstep as well. But I think that people are shocked by that. We also have a self-serve store here at the farm, where it's just freezers of goods and a black box and a little sign with some instructions. And for those that don't have the sort of capacity to staff a full-time store, that it's also a really, really good option for people. And that honor system hasn't, that we know of, led us astray. So.
I am
that's
so
great.
happy for you that you have had that experience, RJ. Like, I think that kind of little element of, we're a family run business, we're a small town. Yeah, don't worry about it. You can pay for it after you get it. I think that is lovely. And I think it's definitely maybe because of your customer demographic. I don't know what your key to success for that is, because I definitely would not and never going to do that ever. Like
I
that
was like, where's the but? There's got to be a but.
that ain't gonna happen at all.
Yeah.
No, we have like an opposite business model. So yeah, touching on that as well too. I could go on a giant rant about processing fees. They're like the bane of my existence. My customers have seen me on social media talking about cash is king without being political. I'm just saying. But I think for myself, I've had an opposite experience to that, of that. I know that I have a premium product. I value my time so extremely. And I think too, like in scalability as well, I'm working on scaling my business upwards. So like I mentioned, 2 years ago, we built a new on-farm store. And so having a team and being able to work with a team for us is relatively new. Before that, it was me doing all of that. So if I was not compensated right off the top, there is absolutely no way I'm touching a piece of product unless it's sold. And I'm not sure how other people feel about that. I just know in my experience, and in our consumer demographic, we're in Chatham, Kent, so we're in southwestern Ontario. We're an hour from London and an hour from Windsor. We're in like a weird economic growth space where we have these pockets of customers that have expendable income, and those are the customers that are my customers. So typically my customer demographic is like 45 to 60-year-olds with expendable income. We're a rural business, so they have to drive out to see us. We have a premium product. We have premium products that we offer in addition to our meats that we produce. So we have definitely like a higher edge clientele, and we've always had that, and we've had to really niche down and lean into those pockets of customers that we know that that's where our return on our investment is. So in terms of the marketing and the sales channels that I utilize is targeted specifically for that customer demographic, because I know if I did the honor system thing or like, yeah, pay me at the door when I get there, it's like, no, no, that's just not going to happen. Same thing, because we do have a lot of overhead. So I saw there was a question in here too. It said, do you do your own deliveries or have a delivery service? So 4 years ago, I was literally pregnant with all my kids in the back and all my orders loaded up, driving around making deliveries myself. And then since then, last year, it was my big girl goal to buy a delivery van. And we did that. It was so cool to be able to hit that milestone. And then that created another part-time job here at our on-farm store for somebody. So we were able to onboard another person to do all of our deliveries and fulfillments, and they work in-house and all of the things. So for us, that's just been such an amazing experience. So we do handle all of our own deliveries. It's 100% us. And for us to be able to justify, like, that van costs me money per month. It costs me fuel. It costs me time for my staff. And because we do also have the brick and mortar location, sold is sold. So, if people buy porterhouse steaks online, they're sold online. So I have to make sure that I have those payments. I'm collecting those revenue streams. Otherwise, I just can't justify doing the extra work of pulling those porterhouse steaks, putting them in my van, paying my staff to take them there, getting to their house, knocking on the door, and they're not there. Like that, I can't waste my time like that. And I do have other customers behind that customer that would have paid upfront for that product, no problem. So for us, I think it's so interesting to hear like the dynamics between the two of us, because yeah, I definitely we get their money first, and then when it's sold, I'm more than happy to help you in any way after that. But we are running a for-profit business, so I can't take that risk of, let's see what happens when we get there. I can't. And again, too, our demographic and where we live. As I mentioned too, we have like these pockets of demographic where we have high income households, really low income households, and just a whole mix of people in one really niche area. So I think it's really interesting to kind of see that dynamic of, what my business has and your business has, and where you've been successful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no one size that fits all, right? I think that's part of what we're learning today. And sorry, RJ, did you want to add to the conversation as well?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say I appreciate that context. I think it's really great that we're on this panel together. So in our early days, I had a lot of fish I needed to move very quickly. And we were used to doing these pail sales, these B grade sales at a very, very cheap price. And so like we made a very deliberate decision to keep our price even lower than the grocery store, so that it warranted sending out the delivery vans and having this many stops. So I think that's as anyone's looking at it, looking at sort of what volume of product they have to move, because if you have a lot, going with a sort of a lower margin and a lower price is a really good strategy. But if you are aiming for that more premium edge to it, and aren't trying to sort of move large amounts, then that's a totally different strategy to take, and that's something we're always wrestling with here, especially as costs increase as well on our
Yeah.
side. So,
Yeah, and there's a comment here from Romy from our previous panel as well about, credit, website cost, all those costs. Important to know those costs and your margins so that you don't take a hit, and also important not explaining this to your customers. So not always leading with that story with your customers, I guess, as well is some advice there. So I have a couple of other questions from the audience here. One question here, do you partner with and sell other businesses' products or exclusively your own, and why?
Emma, why don't you go? I always go first.
So yeah, I can jump in on this conversation. So on our farm, we raise beef, lamb, and chicken exclusively. So I do not purchase those products from anywhere else. I always sell my own. Confidently, I do that because I know the level of quality that my husband and I can consistently produce for our customers. And I would rather be sold out of something than purchase something that doesn't meet my quality standards. I feel like my customers deserve the absolute best. And as a farmer and as a producer, I know that I can give that to them. So for us, it's always quality over quantity, hands down, especially when it comes to our own products. The other really cool thing about our brick and mortar location is we've been able to work with other farmers that do things that I don't, which is really great. So we've been able to work with turkey farmers. In the summertime, we work with local vultures, pardon, vegetable farmers. I don't know what happened there. We get to work with local vegetable farmers to be able to offer seasonal produce to our customers. In the fall, we work with pumpkin farmers. For context, Chatham-Kent is a very rich in vegetable crops. It's a very rich area in vegetable crops. There's not a lot of livestock producers in our area or in our neighboring county as well too. So for us, it's really cool to be able to work with other farmers and support them and be able to work together, because that's essentially what I had envisions for our business. Is I wanted to be able to grow it and really be a hub for our community, to support other local farmers, to be able to support and sustain other local businesses, to be able to create jobs here in our community, and to develop the economic growth in our county and in our very small corner of the world. Because where we have built our multi-million-dollar business is essentially in our cornfield, because 3 years ago, this was a cornfield and everything that we're doing did not exist. So it's really nice to those things kind of come to fruition and be able to build this hub where we can all come together. In our on-farm store too, it's been really a natural progression of our business as our business has grown and we've been able to generate more income. We've been able to support other small businesses by bringing in complementary products. So not only do we offer our frozen meat products, but we also work with a water buffalo farm, and we get their milk and we sell their milk and their cheese. And we work with like bakeries. We also bring in other small businesses, sauces, spices, coffees, all kinds of really cool things. So it's been really cool to create a hub and a space where our customers can come and have sort of a one-stop shop for all these really great businesses that they might not have even known about, and be able to create a depth of relationship with these business owners and see them be successful. I'm just such a champion of small business, and I love seeing us all out here doing the thing and making it grow. I'm just so passionate about that. So it's been really awesome to be able to create sustainable relationships with fellow entrepreneurs and business owners as well too.
Yeah. Awesome. And RJ, what about yourself? Do you partner with other businesses as well in your online store?
Yeah, I really love that sentiment, Emma, because I would say, growing up a fish farmer's son and then a fish farmer, I always thought fish farming was something super special and like very different than anything else. But since we've
It
started
is though. Don't cut it down. Fish farming. I'm fangirling.
But in this whole transformation of our business we're supplying a lot of other sort of local meat shops and meat delivery services, and I'm talking to more farmers than I ever had before, and I realized just how similar the fish farmer mindset and the fish farmer processes and what keeps me up at night is so similar to the other types of farming. So that's been like a really amazing sort of personal learning for me. But this whole carrying stuff from other farms and other people's products, it's a really interesting story on our side because between what you think you are and what your customers think you are. And so for the longest time, we viewed ourselves as a family farm who carried our fish, rainbow trout, Arctic char, coho salmon. And then we started carrying a little bit of other local fish, wild caught pickerel, and then some wild caught pickerel burgers and things like that, which was a jump for us. It was a good opportunity with COVID. A partner that we were working with that usually supplied restaurants had a bunch of products, said, why don't you give it a try? And I must say that that was our first jump. But following that, we sent out a survey to all of our customers, asking them like, what do you like about us? What do you want more from? Like, how can we get more fish into your home? And I had a selection that was like more local Ontario fish. And then the one before was like more Canadian fish. And then the other one was more Canadian seafood. And nobody checked the local Ontario, nobody checked the Canadian fish. They all checked like Fish and Seafood Canada. And that was a strange thing for Len and I because we realized that we think of ourselves as our farm trying to sell our farm products. But now all these people just trust us to be a fishmonger. They want us to be like their go-to stop for this stuff. So we're like, okay. And so we face the same issues as Emma, where we really care about how we raise our fish and are really proud of how we do it sustainably, in the spirit of animal welfare, in the spirit of community and social responsibility. And so we had to go out and find like-minded suppliers for that. And I will say, we just discontinued a product because their quality was going down because we're very, very strict with that. But now, if you look at our list, we're carrying fish. We still keep it Canadian because we want at least that. And we make sure that it's all eco-certified, so that it fits those and that it has the quality that we like. But I will say I was very fearful for jumping into other types of fish and other types of products. And I shouldn't have been because we've actually been able to grow our core product set, the stuff that we raise, by offering other types of fish. And a couple of ways is like people can only buy and eat so much rainbow trout. It's one specific fish, has a very specific flavor profile. And so once they kind of tire of that product, they're just going to go look for their fish elsewhere, and we're probably gone. Or maybe they'll think of us, maybe we'll have a sale, but then we're probably gone. But by giving more opportunities for choice, it like keeps us sort of front of mind. And then also like a box of trout versus like a box that has 4 different types of fish in it, you're still selling your trout to somebody who might not have necessarily been buying your trout,
Right.
because they're also buying these other products. And it also kind of opens up the door for you to tell other people's stories. And, the biggest one for us is like the wild versus farmed fish is like huge in our industry. We just don't talk to the wild fishers. They're a natural resource extraction business. We're farmers. It's so different. It's like a cattle farmer talking to like a clear cutting forestry person, like so different, in our minds. But now that we're selling wild fish, I have to learn more about it and go and actually talk to this group of independent fishermen down in Lake Erie, understand their different certifications. And now I'm actually able to engage with people about the wild versus farm discussion with way more insight. And I'm not necessarily, biased to one or the other. Now I actually don't say only farmed. I say get it eco-certified. It doesn't really matter. But I would never have gotten there if we didn't sort of stretch out to these other areas. So
yeah, that's great, and kind of like a rising tide lifts all boats kind of
absolutely.
Way of thinking. And
Good
I
fish
really
fact.
wish thank you. I really wish we had more time this morning, because I think that you both bring a lot to the table, and really appreciate your time and you sharing your expertise with all the farmers on the line. And as you both mentioned, folks on the line, you're welcome to reach out to RJ or Emma if you have questions after today's call or would like to learn more. So thank you both so much for your time this morning. And I'm going to pass things back over to Danielle really quickly, just for a couple of final remarks here.
Great. Thank you for a great panel and what a great session today. I'd like to ask you to please complete the short 2-minute post-workshop survey Jess has dropped in the chat for us so we can learn and inform other upcoming workshops in the series. She's pasted the link there in the chat and we'll also share it with you via email today. So we encourage you to fill that out. Next, I'd like to take some time to share some resources and programs that may be of interest to you. Jessica will also be sharing links to those resources and programs as in the chat as we go, and they will be shared with everyone following the workshop. So we encourage you, if you haven't already, to consult with your local Community Futures Development Corporation, your Small Business Enterprise Center, your Economic Development Office, and commodity and agricultural organizations, depending on what your specialty is. They can certainly do a lot to help you with your journey. We also wanted to mention a couple of events coming up. The Ontario Fruit and Vegetable Convention is February 19th and 20th, and there's a few great presentations there on kind of the agritourism side and direct consumer side of things that Agritourism Ontario is putting on, and many others for commodity specific content. And there's also the Guelph Organic Conference, which is January 23rd to 25th, if you're interested. And next steps, we would again like to thank the support of our commodity and partner organizations. And we encourage you, we do have 4 more of these workshops coming up. And the 3 more recent ones coming up are on labeling and attributes, looking at organic, free range, gluten-free, and more. So how to differentiate your products and things you need to know on the labeling side. We'll be doing one on agritourism at the end of the month, January 30th, and we'll also be doing one on selling local in rural and remote Ontario. So what if you're kind of out of the GTA or not close to an urban center? How can you still sell local? So we encourage you to check out our website, ofa.on.ca/cultivating local. You can scan that QR code or type that into your web browser. Okay, so lastly, I'd just like to thank our partners and our OFA members for supporting these workshops, and a huge thank you to all of our speakers. As you can tell, they're all small businesses, so we appreciate them taking the time out of their busy day to be here and join us today. And thank you to all of you for participating and for the great discussion in the chat and in Slido. We hope you all have a great day. Thank you.